Happy New Year, Practice Indie, reporting to you from my bedroom because I'm incredibly ill. So I got the flu this week because I realized I hadn't taken a day off in 30 days. And it spurred me to really consider, what kind of goals I have set in the past and what kind of goals I'm setting in the future. And then I was reading on a lot of blogs and Instagram and all the things, and just hearing people talk about how they're not going to set any goals this year because they're just going to do less, be less. And while I totally agree with those things, to do less, be less are actually setting goals as well. And so I wanted to share a little bit about goals as we move into the new year and how we can set them in a yogic way and how they are very much yogic, and how we can set goals in order to actually make the world a better place. So goals are woven into the fabric of yoga from the very beginning. So if we are looking from the lens of the Yoga Sutras, which our school of yoga very much focuses on, Yoga Sutra 1.2 says that yoga calms the chatter of the mind. So from jump, Patanjali outlines for us the goal of yoga, to calm the chatter of the mind. He then goes on in Yoga Sutras 1.12 to 1.16, if you want to fact check me, on how we achieve those goals is through practice, or abhyasa, and non-attachment, vairagya. So within our beloved text, we have a contradiction that we should show up in earnest and consistent practice, but then we should surrender and non-attach or disengage to the fruits of those labors. And so right there is kind of the definition for me of how and why we set goals. So we set a goal so that we get closer to a state of stability, or sthira. There are a couple of other words used in the yogic texts that allude to stability, but we set goals in order to get ourselves closer to stability, peace, tranquility. They all kind of fit within that mold. And then we also have to let go of the actual product of that, because there is no telling when or if we'll make it to that product in this lifetime if you believe in reincarnation. So we set goals because it's part of the practice, but then we release our need to see the end result and just keep showing up and doing the work in earnest. One of the reasons we do that is because there's a fundamental concept called ahamkara. Ahamkara is our I-ness, or the self, the recognition of the self. Ahamkara is at our basic cellular level. It's the part of us that, I feel like I'm kind of missing right now, but it's the part of us that are the antibodies that basically says, I am worthy enough to be here, so I will fight off disease. I will fight off whatever. And it's also the part of us that just keeps us going from day to day. If we didn't have an I-ness, we would cease to exist. We would stop eating. We would let the disease consume us over time, because we just wouldn't care that we in this world exist. And so that in itself is a goal, to live as long as we possibly can. So this idea of ahamkara is what brings us to the world as our individual self and helps us enact and perform our dharma. So our dharma is our, it means to make firm, and it is our purpose in the world to bring order to a naturally entropic or chaotic world. And so we're here to enact that dharma. And dharma is about bringing both order and stability first to ourselves. We cannot do so for the world until we do it for ourselves. But then it's to make the world a better place. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, and free. And so when we get into the topic of goals, it can feel a little privilegey and like, oh, well, who am I to have my best life and to set goals for being my best and highest self? But really, who are you not to? Because if you don't show up and live your highest and best self life, you cannot create the best and highest self for others. And really, that's what we're here to do. We're here to make the world a better place. All major religions outline that our purpose on this planet is to serve the greater good, whether you insert God language or community. We are here to do that for each other and for ourselves. And so Setting goals might look like the minimalist approach. Michelangelo said, I saw the angel in the marble and I carved until I set it free. Maybe it's doing less, it's taking on less, it's just residing in ourselves as our true nature. Or maybe it's in the Arjuna pursuit of that, Arjuna from the Bhagavad Gita, that I must go out into the world and I must act, I must do, I must experience and fall and fail and be in the obstacles in order to fulfill my dharma. And then at the end of the day, it goes back to the first two tenets. I got to keep showing up and doing the things, whether that's doing less or showing up and doing more, and then relinquish the fruits of those labors. So I think, as we go into the new year and you think like, well, I'm not going to set any goals, I think it's really important that we set goals, and that we set goals first to bring ourselves more to stability, to union and peace, so that we can set goals to bring union and stability to others. And I want to bring up this conversation around resolutions versus goals. So there's a natural season to everything, and this turning of the year, the January perspective from the calendar that we operate on in the United States in particular, is a seasonal thing, that we feel this need to turn inward, to reflect on the past and to move forward. And so there's a difference in resolutions. I think resolutions are made by marketers to tell you you're fat, you're poor, you are time-starved, blah, 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 like all these things that equate you are not enough. And so I want to challenge you not to set resolutions, which are things that make you more or offset who you are. Rather, set goals, enhance what is already there. So don't set anything that dispels who you already are. Set goals that enhance exactly the way you are, so that you can be even better in the world. So if you're thinking, I need to lose weight because I want to fit in those jeans, because I will look better, and then my high school, what are they called? Not graduation. I'm old and sick. I obviously can't. Your reunion. So you can go on your 30th reunion, so they all think you look better. Is that making the world a better place? Or maybe the goal is, I love myself fully in 2019 by treating myself to a massage once a year, or waking up in the morning and performing an Abhyanga and showing myself true love. Abhyanga is a self-massage in Ayurveda. So, starting to look at what was the resolution, something that somebody told me looked better to them, versus the goal, which is something that is a consistent practice that helps me show up better as myself, to myself, that will naturally transition to the world. So considering how we look at resolutions versus goals. Fact, 92% of people fail the resolutions. Goals, if you really set real ones, you'll fail 50%, and usually the ones that you fail are the ones that teach you the most about what you really are showing up for in the world. So the last things I'd like to offer is just to set goals around things like rest. So I got the flu. It's no surprise. I haven't taken a day off in 30 days. So some of my goals are going to be around actually getting 8 hours of sleep a night, which is really hard. I have 2 small kids, so dedicating to an earlier bedtime. If my son wakes up in the middle of the night, what's plan B? How do I fit in my meditation but also get the right amount of sleep? Another goal to set around is immunity. Maybe instead of doing that diet challenge, you find a way of eating that supports healthy immune function, so that you are healthier, so that you can enact your dharma and your actions in the world more productively and effectively because you're not sick. Maybe we set goals around service, how we can show up in the world for everybody else more often, a weekly volunteer date, money that you set aside to give to organizations you believe in. So thinking about goals that are less what everybody else wants from me and more how do I want to show up to be the best self I can be in the world. I hope you all have an absolutely blessed holiday and transition into 2019. I wish for all of us to be happy, healthy, and free in this new year. And namaste.